Welcome to another episode of Lynn Lineup, a show that highlights events happening in the Lynn community. Today we're here to talk about performances of the Boston Abolitionists happening right here at LCTV on Friday, September 21st, with a show at 3 p.m. and another show at 6:30 p.m. And I am joined by David Gullette and Bob Scanlan from the Poets Theater. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
It's our pleasure.
Who exactly are the Poets Theater Collective?
Well, the Poets Theater is a theater based in the Boston area. It was originally founded in Cambridge and Harvard Square in 1950. But it has had several revivals over the years, and we are the current representatives of the Poets Theater in a revival that is just entering its 5th season. And the Poets Theater is an independent organization that unites the theater and poetry. We are rich in poets in the Northeast here.
Also actors, though.
Actors, directors, designers. We bring the skills of the theater profession. That's my profession. I'm a theater director, not a poet. And we interpret or deliver poetry, language of high distinction, in attractive and powerful ways.
So this event is part of a larger event called Trails and Sales, which is a series of free events that happen throughout the span of, I believe, a week or two. So the performances are free for anybody who wants to come down. What exactly is the performance going to be about?
I will say that we have recognized that the abolitionist movement in eastern Massachusetts, we say Boston, but it's everything from the North Shore, Lynn, all the way down to New Bedford. It was the first great multiracial social movement. Black folks and white folks and men and women working together for a social end. And we do have to say, first, right out of the block, abolitionism in Massachusetts was not popular. They saw the abolitionists as being cranks, fanatics, screaming in your face, shrill, and yet the abolitionists persisted. So what begins in the 1830s as a fringe movement, by the eve of the Civil War, the late 50s, the early 60s, has become a more mainstream movement. And so our script follows the voices of black and white men and women who are involved with this movement. And their backgrounds are all over the map.
We also discovered that as soon as we opened up this topic, you might think, what does this have to do with the Poets Theater? We discovered that the moral intensity of these people, first of all, attracted us because it's a necessary part of today. The persistence in a kind of moral outrage and pursuing a cause. But it made their writing and their speaking, their oratory, it rose to a level that is very, very equivalent to poetry, a kind of high rhetorical style that is what really attracted us as a Poets Theater project.
Poetry is not just verse, not just little rhyming poems. Poetry, for us, is a broad sweep of highly intense, highly affecting, emotionally affecting, intellectually affecting language. It's what I call the poetry of polemics. A polemic is a ferocious argument. And of course, some of our greatest of all Americans, from the suffragettes to the anti-slavery people, were polemicists. They were arguing in the public square about the ideas that mattered to them. And some great writing comes out of this.
And you guys were saying before the show that it's a performance, but you guys are pretty stationary throughout. And you were saying it was so that people can focus on the words.
We are kind of playing for people's ears, not their eyes. We're not interested in moving around and recreating some lecture hall in the 1830s or 40s. We want, if they like, want people to close their eyes and listen to the power of that language. We begin, by the way, with one of Frederick Douglass's most famous speeches given by our wonderful actor who plays Frederick Douglass, a very tall Afro-Caribbean chap named Vincent Siders. Vincent stands up and says, "What to the slave is the 4th of July?" And you say, whoa, I never thought of that. And then Douglass just eviscerates the idea that all of us here in Boston or Lynn or New Bedford or whatever, we should all be celebrating the 4th of July when our country was freed from English tyranny. All of us freed from tyranny? Not quite. So we're going right to the source of the main arguments, which, as Bob said, they're still the arguments we're having right now.
Well, Frederick Douglass attracted us as a central character, and he is a central character of this suite. It's actually like a concert, like a chamber concert of voices. And at the same time, there's an internal dramatic interaction among the 4 performers who are both debating and bringing back up this material because of contemporary echoes. And the other great figure is William Lloyd Garrison. And he and Frederick Douglass are in continual dialogue throughout this thing.
Not always friendly.
David plays him, and we find that the level of the rhetoric matches their underlying conviction that this is a wrong that must be righted. When we think of the years leading up to the Civil War, it's an extraordinary political moment and very, very high text and perfect project for the Poets Theatre. Frederick Douglass and Lynn obviously have a link, and this is one of the reasons we're really excited about performing it here.
And we only have about a minute and a half left. Goes by really quick. So just want to give you guys a minute to tell us about the people performing in this.
All right. I'm performing. I'm an experienced actor. Been acting in the Boston area since I was 18 years old. Vincent Siders is a newcomer to us. He's a commanding presence. He's very tall. He's got these gigantic dreads. Not quite like Frederick's afro, but it's really impressive.
Amanda Gann is a local actress who's done a lot of work with the Poets Theatre. She's just come back from 2 years of theatre training in London. She has a Master of Fine Arts in Acting from London. She is finishing a PhD at Harvard in Romance languages. She's fluent in French. And she's a superb actress. Then we have Diane Walters.
In fact, Diane Walters is another wonderful, tall, elegant African-American actress.
It's unusually text-focused, and we are also spreading our word and our audience outside of the core in Boston and Cambridge. And this is one of the reasons we're in Lynn. We're going to New Bedford. We're interested in a North Shore audience. We're extremely excited about being here in Lynn. Your own new mayor, Tom McGee, had everything to do with bringing me up here. He and I have been associated through the Boston-Belfast Sister Cities initiative that Mayor Walsh has started in Boston. And Tom has been very generous in offering us a kind of exploratory experience here in Lynn.
We think it's going to be an extraordinary moment in the history of Lynn's celebration of Frederick Douglass at 200 years old. Happy birthday,
We look forward
Frederick.
to being here, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again for joining us. And again, that's the Boston Abolitionists performance happening right here at LCTV on Friday, September 21st, with performances at 3 and 6:30. And if you want to reserve a seat, the information has been flashing at the bottom of the screen. That's it for this edition of the Lynn Lineup. Thanks for watching.